budget.
If you missed earlier, Mac Rhodes, Baylor Director of Athletics, answered a lot of things. In fact, he was at football practice, when we were talking to him. Appreciated that time and mentioned that they have done a really pretty good job of being able to handle at least some of what's going on, of course, with COVID that has shut down some bowl games. And he said he did not perfect, but for the most part, they've been able to handle that. And again, you never know. You could wake up tomorrow morning and things are at issue. But the game now, Saturday night, just a couple of nights away. Also, Jeff Lebby, offensive coordinator at Ole Miss. He was at Baylor. That's Art Briles' son-in-law and Kendall Briles' brother-in-law. And we all know the story of 2016. But since that time, that staff, a lot of them, have been on the uptick with what they do. Kendall Briles now at Arkansas, many at North Texas or wherever else, and including Jeff Lebby at Ole Miss and what he has done. And now he's joining Brent Venables at Oklahoma. He was a part of the media session earlier today about Ole Miss. Corral, Matt Corral, their quarterback, and Paul Catalina had a chance to ask a question as well.
What's going on, Jeff? What were kind of your thoughts and reactions? I know as you talked about the whirlwind, but I mean, the opponent, Baylor, a school that you were around for so long, what was kind of your reaction to seeing that you were going to be playing them, and what do you kind of see from their defense?
Yeah, I mean, they've done a great job this year. Defensively, they've done an unbelievable job creating turnovers. Obviously, they're here in New Orleans in the Sugar Bowl because of creating turnovers. That's what's got them to this point. They've done a heck of a job. They're incredibly well coached. They're incredibly sound, and they play with great effort. So got to match that and surpass it, but excited about it.
Jeff, just following up on that, you have a history at Baylor, and not to dredge up ghosts, but is there a little extra sauce on this one for you?
Man, I think the biggest thing, Paul, is us finding a way to get to 11 wins. I think that's all the sauce we need. Be able to do something that's never been done in the history of the school is going to mean a lot to these kids and mean a lot to us as a staff. So that's the focus.
Hey, Jeff, I was just wondering, how similar is this offense to what you and Kendall and the guys were running at Baylor, and how much has it evolved since then?
Yeah, sure. There's a ton of similarities, from the ground up, from a tempo standpoint, spacing, how we run the football, those things are very similar. There's been a ton of growth and the marriage here, and merging the two things. Obviously, when Kendall was at FAU with Coach Kiffin, and now me being here. So there's been a bunch of growth. Feel like the offense is in a great position right now. And it's been a lot of fun, being able to put these things together and moving forward.
Hey, Jeff, Matt's talked about this a couple times throughout the season and earlier this month, but from your perspective, just how special and important has that relationship between you and Matt been over these past couple of years? Yeah, man, it's been incredible. Humbling, watching him play the way he plays. I think the thing he's got going for him more than anything is he's an inspiring guy, and the way he puts it on the line for his teammates and his university every Saturday is unlike anything out there in the country, and I believe that. And dang proud to coach him, proud of him, proud for him, and I think the most exciting part, man, is he's just getting started. So we've got a great relationship, getting stronger every day, and just proud of him, ready to go do it one more time with him.
All right, so Jeff Lebby, and I think that when Brent Venables was hired, and I saw reactions from those, I think that again, we know what he's done at Clemson. We know what he did at Oklahoma before moving on to Clemson. And that was probably a good opportunity for him to turn the table, turn the page, and go get some breath of fresh air for him. But the Jeff Lebby hire, to me, was brilliant for Venables. Here they are, a team that we know what they do offensively. We know what they've tried to do, and they have Caleb Williams and what he's done and what they hope he can do. And I think the hiring of Jeff Lebby, with all due respect to anybody else joining that staff or staying with that staff, was probably something that gives him a chance to just kind of just keep going.
I think it's a good progression. Look, he comes up, coaching for his father-in-law, so then the negativity around him is always going to be, well, your father-in-law is really running that show. Okay, well, then you go and you strike out on your own in a couple different places, or you're working for an offensive-minded head coach, so anytime, it's kind of what Eric Bieniemy deals with Andy Reid, I think. People say, well, is Eric Bieniemy calling the Chiefs offense, or is Andy Reid? And then when you work with a guy like Lane Kiffin, even though you're Jeff Lebby and you're calling the plays, always, the naysayers about your career will always say, is Lane Kiffin calling the plays or is Jeff Lebby? And now he's going back to his alma mater, and we know that Brent Venables is not going to call offensive plays. It's going to be Jeff Lebby's offense. So as he grows in coaching and gets ready to be a head coach, which he will be sooner rather than later, he can show that, no, listen, I've done it every step of the way.
Yep, and his way. And as he mentioned, the Jerry, I thought it was a great question about the similarities and how they've used what they used at Baylor that put up massive numbers and points to the point where they've tweaked it a little bit along the way. And that's what you should do. And that's what they would have done if it had stayed intact the way it was before 2016. All right, Purdue is